Windy City Thetan Watch. We're on tour today. We are on Interstate 24, heading towards Chattanooga from Nashville. Didn't go live yesterday. I had a lot of actual work meetings, so it was just too hard to find time between meetings to go ahead and do anything meaningful. So here we are heading down the road. It's beautiful. So yesterday, one of the things that I really loved was we got south of Louisville, and when you're south of Louisville, you get into much more good terrain, right, up and downhill, beautiful forests, all the breweries. We were by the Mammoth. We went past the Mammoth Caves. Didn't really stay there. Hey, Fuzzy, how you doing? Howdy, lady. Good to see you. Let me see if I can. Do you like the wider view or the narrower view? Let's see if this works any better. 24 kind of runs down through a ravine here, so oftentimes you're going to see hills on both the right and left side of the road. Heavily forested here. Most of this is second growth forests. We in America, we cut down a heck of a lot of our trees for whatever reason that we felt was important, whether it was housing or, housing was probably the biggest thing that we were cutting them down for. Not a lot of this would be cut down for farmland. It's too hilly for farmland most places. Howdy, WP. I am just really enjoying this. It's somewhat melancholy. I've been in Chicago for all my life. I've traveled this road many times, so this is not by any means a new road to me, but it's just beautiful. I don't travel it in winter very often. I'm more often here in the summer. It's one of the motorcycle routes that I'll take quite a bit. What else? Got to Mrs. Wendy and I stay at the same hotel each night, so got to play with the puppy. Take the puppy out for a walk this morning, and then we had to kind of part ways again. We've got two vehicles heading to the new home, so I think that I'm only going to be on for maybe 45 minutes to an hour today, I hope. Once I get to Chattanooga, I want to find a place, and I'll drop a pin for Mrs. Wendy, and we'll have lunch with the puppy. You know what? When on the My Tony celebration, I really enjoyed the conversations, right, that we would have going back and forth there, seeing the new areas. Howdy D. As you travel across Tennessee, you're typically going to take Route 24 or Route 40. So the highway system in the United States, it's the east-west roads. So the roads that go from east to west or west to east, they get numbered from the southern border to the northern border. So the southern border is Highway 10, goes across the bottom of the country. We're on 24. 40 is just a little bit north of us, but paralleling. And then you get up to the northern territory where I-80, I-90, I-94, which all go through Chicago. But then I-80 goes almost due west. 90 goes across South Dakota. 94 goes across North Dakota. And the vertical or north-south highways, they start with the lowest numbers on the west. So California has I-5, and the East Coast has I-93 and I-95. Our next turn will be Chattanooga, which is I-75. In the winter, right, the trees look very barren, right? Well, there's plenty of evergreen here, but the deciduous trees have all dropped their leaves. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. I do like that it's already up to 50 degrees here. Nice, Haggis Batcher. That is an awesome old song. The Chattanooga Choo Choo. So there's so many really cool train songs. That's one, the Chattanooga Choo Choo. The other one that's by name of is, I don't even remember which. There's a Western that has the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe. So ATSF was Atchison, Topeka, Santa Fe. And I remember, darn it, Dorothy from Wizard of Oz was in that, and she sang that. And I think it was kind of about the Harvey girls. Yeah, 60 in Florida, nice. Last night, when I landed in Bowling Green, we were 50s. Overnight, it went down to 20. This morning, I had a run. The run was nice. It was in the 20s, which, you know, remember when I left Chicago, it was 6 degrees. So I'll take the 20s as a nice heat wave. A little bit of snow, and you'll notice that snow that was on our right side, it's on the north side of that hill. So the sun is, you know, pretty far south these days. So the sun doesn't hit that for very long. So that snow is going to be there for a while. Last night I was kind of, you know, all during the day, whenever I get a stop, I just kind of scroll through YouTube, and I saw that Witcher was out yesterday, so that was awesome. I think Miss Kim was out. Crazy Love Was Love was live. So good seeing all those folks, you know, that maybe protesting isn't as dead as we are proclaiming it. The last time I was on this road, I was on the motorcycle, and I think, oh no, that was on Route 40. So I think near Knoxville is where Pigeon Forge and Dollywood are. I need a fact checker. I can't remember if Pigeon Forge and Dollywood are Knoxville or Chattanooga, but there's a road over there that straddles the Tennessee-North Carolina border near Fontana called Tail of the Dragon, and it's something like 113 turns in 11 miles. My recollection of this road from youth till now is when you get to really close to Chattanooga, here in the States, only some states allow you to buy fireworks, and different states allow for different grades of fireworks. Some will let you launch rockets, some won't. But you always see these massive roadside, you know, Crazy Wally's Fireworks Emporium, and they're just massive tin barns. But they used to be the only thing that you would see advertised here on the highway, right? The massive fireworks stores. Thank you, Tennessee Treasure Finder. I'll have to make up different facts. You guys have already caught me on these. Oh, you can't really see it, but to my left, you know, there looks to be 600-700 foot tall Sugarloaf Mountains. We've got a little bit. You might be catching it on the right-hand side of the camera. There's a little bit there, and then ahead of us, there's a hill. Folks, I will also warn you this. Pigeon Forge is a really neat town, Gatlinburg, which Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge are pretty close to one another. Gatlinburg is when you come down over the Cherhola Highway down into Tennessee. Gatlinburg, it's a quaint little small town, old-timey feel to it, but it's one of those one-way in, one-way out, and the traffic is, especially in the height of summer, really, really tough. Howdy, Irish Mart. How you doing there? So yesterday we spent most of the day driving through Indiana. We were up near the Indiana Dunes, and we drove straight down through Indianapolis, crossed into Kentucky at Louisville, and then we spent the night at in Bowling Green. And I was very sad because I wanted to, folks, I wanted to go to some of the distilleries there, but all the distilleries close at like 5 o'clock. And as you travel that route down 65, you move in and out of the Eastern time zone like 7 or 8 times. It's really silly the way that the time zone shift there. So I couldn't tell if I'd be able to make it to like places like where Frankfort, Kentucky is where Buffalo Trace is. And if you're a bourbon aficionado, Buffalo Trace is a fairly well-known distillery. They have what's called allocated bottles. So the distillery picks out several barrels, and then they pour their bottles where there'll be single bottle callings. And the 4 allocated bottles that they have, this is from memory, are Eagle Rare, Blanton's, Weller. Oh, what's the other one? Maybe E.H. Taylor? I'm not positive on that. Thank you, Antics. I really appreciate that. And then, but I wasn't able to get in there. And it's really that I kind of just want to have a bar, so a bottle, so that when friends come over, we can share that. It's just always neat to have unique bourbons or special bourbons around. I'm not somebody, you will almost never see me drink 2 bourbons, right? It's one little sipping shot of bourbon a night, and I'm fine. Not really a big fan of liquor. Ooh, that's cool. The Lodge Museum of Cast Iron. So, Lodge cast iron skillets must be made somewhere around here. Darn it, what was I saying just before that? Oh, just about 5 minutes before we came on, I passed by the exit to go to George Dickel. George Dickel's a lesser known, but a much higher quality and a rarer version than Jack Daniel's. Jack Daniel's is hugely commercial, but I went past Jack Daniel's as well. I drove past the exit of Jack Daniel's as well. Jack Daniel's, you've got the old number 7, which is the prototypical, that's kind of what everybody knows. But they also do rye and bourbons and flavored and collaborations with other breweries. So you've got that. So here we're in the Smoky Mountains. I don't think that we're quite actually to the Smoky Mountains yet, but the terrain goes up and down here. So you got the Appalachian Mountains that follow the eastern border of the United States, and we're headed downhill right now. So there's going to be a river down here at the bottom of this valley. You'll sink into it, and then you'll climb out of it. These are I enjoy these roads. They're a little bit curvy, so it's not just this straight flat highway where you can see 75 miles. Howdy, Kathy. Thank you so much. Something else that happens over here fairly often is that you'll get fog that'll settle in these valleys, and you historically get these 75, 100 car accidents because the fog just makes it so you can't see 2 feet in front of yourself, and people keep on driving. You'll be driving at 75, 80 because it's clear as a bell, and then you'll drive into this valley, and you're stuck with all the fog, and you have the one car accident, and before you know it, every other car that's on the interstate has followed into that. Howdy, Tony. Now we're heading up the hill. Hopefully that sun's not too bad. The sun's coming out of the east. We're heading east. Hopefully that's not too bad for you. I see a truck ahead of me. We've got a dual trailer. Oh, thank you, Tian. So right now I'm in the Cumberland Mountains, and I'm gonna go back to my 5th grade history. The Cumberland Mountains were on this side of the Appalachian, and you've got the Cumberland Gap, which I believe Daniel Boone, that's kind of how he came into Tennessee, Kentucky area. Daniel Boone is an old, I guess you would call him a hero. He was somebody who explored, right, once we had the 13 colonies, and then we decided we were going to go further west. He was one of those first people that went over the hill. There's a town called Boonesville. I think Boonesville's Kentucky. But they were frontiersmen, and they're the ones that kind of opened up the West. He was somebody, he was captured by the Indians, but he was usually fairly friendly to the Indians. He wasn't somebody who was trying to take Indian land. Oh, I love all the, hopefully you're seeing that. There's little like ice waterfalls coming off here. I don't know if the camera's capturing enough light. These are all, I would say, they might be mythical stories, but Daniel Boone was captured by the Indians, and he was held captive for quite some time. They knew that he was a skilled hunter, and they would give him 3 arrows a day, and since he was such a skilled hunter, they expected him to have caught or hunted 3 birds a day. And he was clever, well, the mythical story is, he was clever enough to shoot at flocks of turkeys where he could shoot 2 or 3 turkeys at once, and then he stashed the additional. Entirely accurate story, but I sure as heck like the story. The other frontiersman that is very historically appropriate to Tennessee is Davy Crockett. Davy Crockett was at one point a senator here in Tennessee. Once things kind of went awry for him politically, he then moved on to Texas, and he was one of the fallen members of the Alamo. Howdy, Style Audit, how are you? So that's kind of one of the, to me, I just love those stories of the old folk heroes, Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett. Both of them had TV shows when I was a kid. Oh, I love that. So the Cumberland Gap allows for moon bows, right? Which would be the moonlight strong enough to hit, maybe it's mist in the air or falling water to create a rainbow. Somewhere down here, I think near Chattanooga, there's a Buc-ee's truck stop. If you guys have spent any time on YouTube, and I guess that's how you found me, Buc-ee's are just cathedrals to truck driving. And oh, look at this, caution, steep mountain grade, the next 4.5 miles. Buc-ee's is a truck stop, but they're massive, and they're these big old stores. You can buy a bag of potato chips, a CB radio, get your truck washed, take a shower. They're pretty cool. Like, everybody's always excited to see a Buc-ee's. Now there's hundreds of other, like when I was growing up, there was no Buc-ee's, but we had, Flying J and Loves. And it was just that place where you could pull over, get your gas, do a little bit of shopping, stretch your legs. Oftentimes there'll be something that is locally appropriate that they've got some display of. I'm going to let this car in. 6% grade. We're going downhill. Hopefully you're catching this on the camera, but this is just, it's really pretty to me. Being a Chicagoan most of my life, we're flatlanders, so we just don't get to see this very often. More stupid facts that none of you have asked for. The Appalachian Smokies, these eastern mountains, while they're not as high as the Rockies, they're far more, these are much older mountains. And typically, if you see tall mountains, it's because the weather hasn't been able to erode them yet. So the Rockies are young mountains. The Himalayas are some of the youngest mountains in the world. And that's why they're continually growing. So the two continents are pushing up. Up ahead of us, you're seeing a runaway ramp. So what happens if a truck lost its brakes, there's some deep sand and gravel there that the truck would be able to move over into there and slowly brake themselves. Because if you lose your brakes coming down here, and these trucks are, 20, 30, 80 tons, you could do an awful lot of damage. It's really cool that we just keep on descending and descending and descending, but the other side of this is that there's going to be some climbing and climbing and climbing. Just saw a notification that Fat Grammy is going to be over covering the LAPD commission. So if you want to head over there, and I think I saw that MD Media was there. Absolutely thrilled if you want to go over and show them some love. But if you just want to see some beautiful mountain roads, join us here. There's something called Ruby Falls, and I've been seeing signs for Ruby Falls for the last 60 to 70 miles. Earlier I told you we get these fireworks advertisements. On the left-hand side, you're seeing the Pyro City fireworks. Howdy, Susan. Folks, I want to remind you that I am I'm hands-free on the phone. I'm scanning, looking at both side view mirrors, looking at the dashboard, looking in front of me. We need TN to do a history lesson. And while it's not 10, oh, there's a car ahead of me that has lost transmission. It's smoking pretty heavily. Is Mammoth Cave the big one? Is that the biggest one in the world? I just can't remember, but I've been past Mammoth Cave so many times, and I don't know why I've never gone inside. And today it's just it's too busy for us to go in. Yeah, these roads are beautiful right now. We've been fortunate the whole trip. In Indiana, we were on some highway, not interstate, for a little bit, and there was a little bit of blowing snow, but there were no drifts or anything of that nature, and there had been enough car traffic that there were tire trails through any snow that was on the road. Today, I am most excited to do a car wash. I'm not a snob about my car, but it's had so much salty weather for the last 2 weeks because of how cold and freezing, and we've had the snow and the salt on the streets up in Chicago. I will tell you that in Chattanooga, I am going to at least rinse this thing off, get some of this salt off of the old lady. Yeah, and I think if you read the history of the caves here in Kentucky and in Tennessee, in a lot of these hills, people will find that there were water eroded caves everywhere, and they would become these roadside attractions. But it's sort of like if you've ever been to Iceland, Iceland is actually, it's cold, but it's much greener than Greenland. When Eric the Red left Iceland, and then, Eric the Red found Iceland, when Leif Erikson went over to find Greenland, he was very braggadocious and did a lot of marketing and calling it Greenland, but Greenland is much icier and snowier. So you would always see these roadside attractions about, hey, it's the world's biggest cave, and it would basically be a little hole in the ground that maybe a rabbit could fit in or something like that. You probably won't pick this up, but up on the left, at the height of, there's that flat spot right on the top of that mountain. There's a little house up there. Have to imagine that's a beautiful view. I would hate shoveling the driveway, and my guess is that if they have harsh winters, but we're far enough south that they do get snow here, and it's in the mountains and everything of that nature. But it's nowhere near as bad as the north, where when you get snow, it's on the ground for a while. Like, we have entire months of January in Chicago where it will never be above freezing. Here, right, we did have quite the cold streak across most of the eastern side of the United States, like snow in Dallas, which is exceedingly rare. But then within a couple of days, that's going to clean itself up. It is pretty tragic when it happens, though. When you get snow in the south, like I think Atlanta is probably one of the top 5-7 biggest cities in America. I think it's still the busiest airport in America. O'Hare, I think, is second for the last few years. But I think that Atlanta has something like 6 snowplows. So when it snows in Atlanta, it takes a long time. Everything stops, right? In reality, everybody just says, there's no reason to go outside. I remember one time when I was very young, I was in Columbia, South Carolina, and it snowed, and it was just a little dusting of snow, but everybody just got out of their cars and walked home. It's unfamiliar to them, so they don't know how to drive in that stuff. Top of the Rock Restaurant and Brewery. That sounds awesome. The Big Bad Breakfast. I love that a lot of the advertising here, the billboard type advertising, are one-off restaurants and one-off locations. So they're very creative, cool. You don't get to see, it's not something you see everywhere else. Excellent. We've got a review from Fuzzy. starting to smell that car ahead of me that burned something up coming down the hill. So we're seeing, I think I've seen a couple of times that people have, it is the largest cave system in the world. And part of that is there's several entrances to it. And over its history, I'm sure that people thought they were discovering something new, only to find out that, it was just the other side of the cave. Here we're seeing Russell Cave National Monument. National monuments are part of the national park system. So you've got the national monuments and the national parks. Like I think the Colorado Monument is a national monument. Montezuma Springs is a national monument. I don't know what differentiates a monument for a park. The park, I think, is the most elevated. Yellowstone, obviously one of the first national parks we had. Over there in Wyoming. You've got the Grand Teton. California, you've got Yosemite. Kudos for the usage of spelunking. Howdy, declared Dave. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I've gotten south of you. Oh, son of a gun. I did travel through some towns that were near you. I wouldn't have had time to stop, though. There's a car ahead of me with blue lights flashing. I can't tell if it's a cop or if it's a pilot car for an oversized truck. Kind of interesting that the land is kind of opening up here between the hills. I hadn't been watching the exit sign, so no idea what town we just went past. But it's big enough to have a Walmart superstore. The traffic is getting a little dense here. Not sure what's causing that. What is today? Today is Friday the 17th. I'm seeing some beautiful homes up on the ridge to my left. I will tell you that the GPS is showing orange for my destination time. So somewhere along the way, I'm going to run into some kind of traffic fun. Ooh, what's the holiday this weekend? MLK. That's right. Chicken and waffles at the Huddle House. Now, I've never been to a Huddle House. I prefer Waffle House, and again, it's not that I actually prefer Waffle House. It's the first one I went to was Waffle House, so whenever I can see a Waffle House, I go to Waffle House. They're very cool diners. If you've never been into a Waffle House, it's a little breakfast bar and maybe 6 tables, and a short order cook on a flat top grill, and usually a lady or the wait staff there are usually lifelong residents of wherever you're at. You always get a good story from them. Yeah, I'm guessing Chattanooga is going to be pretty tough because you've got 24 going in there, you've got 75 going in there. I think 95 is much further east. We're coming up on South Cumberland State Park. I don't think you're picking it up on the camera very much, but there were a lot of deer and coyote that have lost their life in the last few days or weeks. Little road alligator there. Road alligator is a term that these trucks, they'll get retreads, so there's a large band of rubber that they'll just put around the outside of the tire, and I'm just going to say it's not quite that simple, but that's basically what it is. And over time that finally fails and it falls apart, so it looks like the back of an alligator, so we call them the road alligators. Oh, TN, I don't want to hear about the construction. And I'll say this, that I'm pretty far ahead of schedule. Yesterday I got behind schedule because of meetings. Today I'm pretty far ahead of schedule. So at the, yeah, Fuzzy's giving you a big hint. There will be alligators in our future. And no, I'm not starting an alligator farm. But I have no problem getting off of an interstate and just taking back roads from point to point. Yeah, you stop a lot. Yeah, you have to, stop lights, slower speed limits, but you just see a lot more of America. And I'm a big fan of seeing new cool stuff. Good job, Style Audit. I saw a lot of Texas as guesses. The Nickajack Dam. Very interesting. Now there's water ahead of us. Apparently I think we're coming down onto the Tennessee River. The Tennessee River runs mostly the entire length, but when you say length, maybe you want to say width of Tennessee. I think, I'd have to guess here, but I think the origin of the Tennessee River is up in Knoxville, where a couple of rivers come together. And it might be that the Tennessee starts before that and they just merge with the Tennessee there. But hopefully you're seeing the wide expanse of water down here. Well said, Styles. Snitches get stitches. A couple of fishermen out there on the lake. There's a rest area. Well, I'm on an island right now, and there's a rest area here. going across Tennessee River and the Nickajack Lake. There is a very steep road over to our left. You can see a couple barges here on the river. To help revive the country after the Depression, we had the CCC, and I can't remember what that particular civilian, it was to put people back to work, and the government spent an awful lot of money. And another project that took place over here was called the Tennessee Valley Authority, and they paid laborers to, and again, it was to get us out of the Depression so that people could get wages. We spent an awful lot of federal money to build dams, and these dams would have been both for water reclamation, right, or the ability to store water, but also hydroelectric. So much of the Southeast is powered by these dams here in the East. And yeah, the Tennessee will eventually let out into the Ohio. I think people that do the Grand Loop, so the Grand Loop is the ability to circumnavigate the eastern half of the United States. And what they kind of do is they go up the Atlantic Ocean or the Intercoastal Seaway on the Atlantic side, and then they either go up Hudson and across the Erie Canal or all the way up to the St. Lawrence Seaway, and then they get into the Great Lakes. They end up in Chicago. They take the Des Plaines, from the Calumet to Des Plaines, down to the Mississippi. And then some people, and I don't know quite the path, but some people will then turn up the Ohio and go down the Tennessee River, because there's been a couple of man-made canals that you can get south through Alabama. I'm kind of guessing there because it's just a slight recollection of a memory to do that. But yeah, so that's one of the reasons why the Tennessee River is kind of important here. Howdy, Lori in Georgia. We're almost in Georgia, Lori. Probably another half hour, 45 minutes. Hopefully you're enjoying the sights of Route 24, or at least you're seeing the back end of some vehicles here on Route 24. Yeah, so Oak Ridge boys, but the Oak Ridge is where they refine uranium, right? Over here on the eastern seaboard. Even though the BOMB projects were over in Nevada and New Mexico and then the deserts out west, I believe our enrichment facilities were all here in Oak Ridge. And then, if my memory is correct, some young boys were radiated by the uranium at Oak Ridge, and they become the great singers, the Oak Ridge Boys. Fairly clear that's how that works. We're about 13 miles from Chattanooga, so not sure why, but traffic seems to have gotten much nicer. Maybe that's because everybody's smart and got off some road behind us that's going to help them bypass everything that I'm about to go through, but we'll see. Hopefully you're staying warm up there in Chicago style audit. Howdy, Lexi. It looks like we've got a bit of a climb ahead of us now. This is an interstate that I've never tried. I just saw a sign for Interstate 59. Totally unfamiliar to me. entering the Eastern time zone. Not sure how many of those I'm going to have to do again still, but oh, look at that. Welcome to Georgia. Okay, so 59 is going to take you south to Birmingham. I think some people actually take that 59 to avoid, I think I'm going to get through Atlanta midday, so I shouldn't have, my understanding is Atlanta can be a nightmare traffic town if you're anywhere near rush hour. So 59 south to Birmingham, will that then go all the way to Pensacola? Folks, when we get to Chattanooga, I think I'm going to kind of shut down the stream. I really appreciate everybody being here today. Thank you so much. And again, I want to continue to express my exceeding gratitude for all of the support that you've shown the channel. Just views, likes, shares. Many of you are members. Many of you have super chatted. Many of you have helped out with the Linktree funds, and I really appreciate that. So thank you all. I'm going to figure out a way to still be, well, relevant is an arrogant term, but still be a part of the anti-Scientology community. Go from there. Howdy, Patrick Skinner. It's funny, the two lotteries, Powerball and Mega Million right now, are, one of them is 331 million and the other one's 113 million. So they're almost they're symmetric numbers. Yeah, Tony, I'm really hoping. I'm pretty sure we're going to be through Atlanta by then. And if not, I will find a 2-lane highway to go as far around as I can. Still see more of the Ruby Falls sign. Our friend Tian said that's an awesome little fall that's inside of a cave. Thank you, Tennessee. So 59 will take you down to Louisiana. It was funny, I was talking with my dad the other night, and we were campers when we were kids, and we would always be up in Michigan, and we were tent campers. And one year we came down this direction, and we stayed along the Gulf of Mexico in tents, and it was hot and muggy and rainy. Oh, back to Tennessee. So you have to build the highway where the mountains will let you. So we did a quick dip into Georgia and back out to Tennessee. We'll be back in Georgia fairly soon, I think. But I remember that we were so miserable down in Louisiana in that tent that our family, we packed up the tent and drove straight through to Michigan. We only stopped for gas and for bio breaks. That is a tough break, Dave. I will say I was very fastidious making sure to check everything on both my car and Mrs. Wendy's car before we headed down. It's just beautiful. It looks like there's almost a castle. So somebody must have built a castle on the hill ahead of me. If you follow the road straight forward, it looks like you're seeing turrets on the corners of that building. You probably won't see it that well. Sally, I'm going to go through Atlanta. I won't be able to stop too much time in Atlanta. A lot of truck tires here on the side of the road again. The Highway Patrol headquarters. Lookout Mountain. I remember when I was a kid, I think from the top of Lookout Mountain you can see 7 states. I would 100% have to guess what those states are. Oh, and that's absolutely a castle up there. I wonder if that castle is the peak of Lookout Mountain. Just startled because a little rock just hit me. Yeah, I will say, Kathy, when I'm not on the interstate, and even on the interstate, I tend to be, I always call it, I let somebody else rabbit for me. So I'll just tuck up behind a car and go. When I'm on country roads, I just set the cruise control at the speed limit and go. Little sign on the side of the road there saying slow, caution, slow traffic ahead. All right, folks, I think I might have to concentrate a little bit coming up, so I really appreciate this. Maybe you'll see me after lunch. We'll see. Again, if you're subscribed, I really appreciate that. Go ahead and set those notifications. I know I gave you guys almost 7 minutes of a heads up to join us today. Oh, there's a beautiful barge going up the river next to me. But until I see you again, thank you all for being here. Fuzzy, is there anybody out protesting right now? I haven't been on sptv.space in a long time either. About to go around a big bend in the Tennessee River. Earlier in the chat, you hear the Chattanooga choo-choo. So we've got the historic side of the Chattanooga choo-choo. Folks, if I didn't have a schedule to keep, I will tell you that brown sign in America, brown signs are usually historical points or points of interest. It's really hard to get me to drive past a brown sign. And we're about to see a couple more here. The Tennessee Aquarium. Now that one I would drive by. I like more outdoor or scenic brown signs. All right, I'm seeing big buildings here. Folks, I really appreciate everybody's time today. Let's go over and see Mona, Fat Grammy, and I will see you later today or tomorrow.